Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Indeed, the December month is what it is, and there are greetings, felicitations going on all around. Welcome to the month of December, so I might as well add mine in as well. We're happy and a fruitful December. It's not just the season of good cheer alone. As you know, we're in the political season, and it's been observed over the years that this political season seems to open the floodgates to dubious news, outright false news, and this is distributed mainly on social media. I always agonize that, look, when people keep on spreading these dubious items that they get, I wish they'd just check, Google the story on mainstream media and find out if they are carrying it. If there's a spectacular news, the online media, the conventional media will be one of the first to be all over it. But in this race to be the first, I don't know. We have this situation so that we've gotten to a stage where if you're not careful, you don't really know what to believe anymore. So I thought I'd discuss this challenge, this phenomenon, if you want, with our guest this morning, a former Commissioner for Information in Edo State, Mr. Kazeem Afegbua. Fine morning to you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for the opportunity of your platform.
Indeed, it is our pleasure. So here we are. It needs to be said, Kazeem Afegbua resigned outright from the opposition PDP, but then he's not a member of the APC as well. But I think I'm on safe ground to say that he is supportive of the Asiwaju Bola Tinubu ambition.
Of course, you're very right. I made my position known very publicly. When I was leaving the PDP, I gave reasons why I was leaving. I had made a pledge before then that I was going to leave if the PDP, by act of omission or commission, decided to give a ticket to a northern candidate. And so I made my position known in public, and I had to follow through to my words. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to behave like an Ayu who promised to step down if a northern candidate emerged, and now, just like the death and the King's Osman, is finding it difficult to leave. And when it is time for him to perform the ritual, of honoring his own words. So I left PDP formally. I wrote to my world chairman, and I just choose to remain to remain partyless.
Okay.
Kind of. But I'm a strong supporter of a Tinubu presidency, because when I left, the two formidable candidates from the southern part of the country are Peter Obi and Tinubu. And I use my sense of dissonance to also discriminate against who I should support. It's my inalienable right. I interrogated issues that the two candidates were championing. I look at antecedents. I look at their capacity to understand the Nigerian dynamics. And in the end, I took a decision that I will support an Asiwaju presidency. And I've been very resolute about that.
How concerned have you been in your support of this candidacy? The amount of stuff that's out there, it's got so bad that I saw recently a newspaper report about members of his family needing to caution the public, members of the Tinubu family in Lagos, needing to caution the public that please, just slow down, chill. We can't go on like this. You can't go on trying to discredit our son, and we don't like it. It's gotten that bad. That's just one of the aspects.
For me, it's not bad. I have a different mindset. I'm a public relations person. I interrogate scenarios. They say in politics there's no publicity that is bad. What is constant is the name Tinubu. It keeps resonating in social discussions, political discussions, different platforms and all that. There are a lot of people who will not take time to read the contents of what is being churned out there because they're in a hurry to move to the next item. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So keeping the name and the currency of it in the public domain is advertisement for him. And for someone who is, so popular and nearing, coasting home to victory, so to speak, there is a tendency that people will churn out, orchestrate all manners of news just to cause a distraction.
Yes.
Just 2 days ago, I was seeing a picture where they placed him side by side Joe Biden of the U.S., the president of the U.S., and said that Tinubu was visiting. Even when the campaign had issued a formal statement detailing his itinerary by the time he will be leaving the country on the 4th of December, Sunday, to address opinion leaders, stakeholders in Chatham House on the 5th, Monday, and thereafter how he will proceed to other places in Europe and America to carry out, his foreign trip. People still went ahead and, superimposed his picture as if he was discussing with Joe Biden. The campaign has since denied that.
Of course.
But this is a season of politics and political campaigns, just like you said. And there's a tendency that people will keep coming up with all of these scenarios. But I'm not bothered because I have my eyes fixed on the votes. How I will go to my little village of Okbela, queue up in my Ward 5, and I will rally around my other voters to say, please, let's vote for Tinubu.
Part of the reason I imagine that these false stories, dubious news keep on making their rounds is that it's not always that they are perpetrated by a nobody. Take the former secretary to the government of the Federation, for instance, Babachi Lawal.
Yeah.
He's not a riffraff. And so when he goes out and makes statements, which he has, quite consistently, that, actually put down the campaign of Tinubu, especially on this whole business about same-faith tickets, and then proceeds to do analysis of why he cannot possibly win, haven't made a mistake, you begin to worry that people who know the power of communication and are using it this way, I don't know if it leaves a lot to be desired.
Well, for obvious reasons, you expect Babachi Lawal to be angry because he has shown symptoms of a bad loser.
But he hasn't lost anything.
Because no. Let me tell you. Because we know we are political players. I'm an insider in most of political discourse. Without sounding immodest. He lobbied to become a running mate. That's not it. That's not
of Tinubu.
And yes, of Tinubu. And that is a legitimate aspiration. I must say that. But only one person is required to occupy that position. Only one person out of the multitudes that showed interest. If you say you are someone's friend, as Babachi Lawal claimed, I expect that you should understand the rationale for taking certain decisions. And if it is not your lot, I also expect that you would tolerate, a deviation from your own interests. So that in the final analysis, if you are not this, you can be this. In politics, it must not be dogmatic that this is what you are going to be. So if you don't get it, you want to spoil the cook. The issue of same faith that Babachi Lawal has displayed is very ridiculous to me. Ridiculous in the sense that some of us who are insiders also know the role he played to undermine the aspiration of James Faleke, a Christian who was running mate to Abubakar Audu in the Kogi election. And when Abubakar Audu died and all of that, we know certain roles that some certain persons play, including him.
As you say, you being an insider, you would know that
including him,
better than members of the public.
To undermine that process. And for curious reasons, we had a court pronouncement saying that a running mate was not legitimate to take over the position, even though he was part and parcel of those votes. So it was a curious conclusion, but today, that's it. And he was SGF then, and so we know some of these things. And you see, if you want to champion the cause of Christians, you must come, on the table with clean hands. You must be, of course, I know that there's a court that has given him a clean bill of health over allegations that were thrown at him. But again, those were the allegations that also sent him out. It has to do with the issue of IDPs in Christian-dominated areas in his state, Adamawa. So the point is, you must live above board. You must be seen to to be able to explain scenarios in a more transparent and holistic manner that will see you as one of the ambassadors of the Christian faith. But I have not seen him as one.
You don't
That's
think he has
one.
achieved
And
that
nobody, I've
he
said
hasn't
it,
ticked those boxes.
in my interview yesterday and 2 days back, I did state categorically that no sane candidate would take an arrogant Babachir Lawal as a running mate. He will spoil the cook. And now that because he feels that he's been alienated from the whole process, he's championing single faith. But I want to ask you, how much of the single faith, dogmas have we seen in this whole campaign? When even the candidate himself has a pastor as a wife, he says by the bedside lamp in their home is shared between the Quran and the Bible, and he has not in any way, mitigated anything against the wife who is a pastor of the Redeemed Church. So such a man best represents the dynamics of our religiosity and also understanding the peculiar situation that we find ourselves as a country. As a politician, you must note, and very instructive, that you play politics to win. You don't play politics to lose. Because it's like the common malapropian bluff. Big man, they talk. Poor man saying, get ideas. If you have ideas, you'll be a big man. So that's the point. So there are religion and politics are two fundamental, aspirations in life. Those who are playing the religious card are waiting to be received to heaven by God in the hereafter. Those who are playing politics are waiting to be enthroned into political power so that they can deliver on their promises. So while one talks about hereafter, the other talks about here on earth. So there are two different scenarios. And I keep telling people, if you are a running mate to any president or however you want to describe it, you are not going there to begin to champion the aspirations of just the faith you belong. You are not going to be doing that. What you are going to be doing is to be answerable to the demands, expectations, and aspirations of the country, Nigerians.
Exactly.
You are going to preside over the good, the bad, and the ugly, whether they belong to the traditional religion, whether they belong to the Islamic faith or the Christian faith. You see, sentiments of this nature are very dangerous to follow because it's also eroding the sanctity of our religion. Because I give you a typical example. Our current vice president is a Christian and is a pastor. And I asked a bishop on a television program, I said, can you please explain to me how many churches that Osinbajo has built? I think we should be seeing this more in the conduct of the individual and their understanding of the dynamics of the country to delivering on electoral promises that to favor, because poverty does not know religion. Poverty does not know whether you are a Christian or Muslim. What politics advocate is to provide good governance that will help to drive the aspirations, legitimate and otherwise, of the individual, creating an enabling environment for people to pursue their legitimate aspirations. But the moment we keep dwelling on the issue of religion, then you now begin to ask yourself, do we have Christian and Muslim religion alone in Nigeria? There are traditional worshippers. There are people who are atheists. So are you going to say because they don't belong to your faith that you don't consider them? So politics is a potpourri of several belief systems. And once a candidate understands those dynamics, he'll be able to deliver. I'll give you another typical example. A Christian pastor, Vice President Osinbajo, visited Owo massacre when it happened recently. And he went there to represent the federal government. He spoke eloquently, shared in the aspirations of those who were affected. He entered his plane and went back to Abuja. A Muslim candidate in Tinubu visited Owo. He's a Muslim. He went there, shared in the aspirations of the people, and donated 75 million for those victims of that disease. So it's about the heart.
I get you.
Now, are you going to refuse that 75 million because he's a Muslim? No.
Not really.
But that 75 million can cater for a lot of things for those helpless, victims to get some reprieve.
But to be fair, What if the vice president who visited first simply doesn't have 75 million to give?
5 million is enough. Even 2 million. You have to show concern.
Okay.
I'm telling you that all of this is about the heart of the individual.
Putting your money where your mouth
The
is.
heart is actually the religion of any man. Once you are trying to detain yourself within the cocoon of saying you want to be dogmatic with what your belief systems are, you're going to be. The Bible not say if somebody slaps you, you should turn the other one, or 70 times, 70 times. Is Babachi Lawa able to do that? As he has exhibited, a clear characteristics of who a Christian is?
Well, since Babachi Lawa is what we're talking about for now, because we're talking about false news, deceitful news, and that kind of a thing. How would you react to Babachi Lawa having said that? Kazeem Afegbua, I don't know him. I don't know him. In other words, trying to make out like
okay, that is also
please.
That is also
don't bring inconsequential people to me.
Yeah, that is also an element of arrogance, and which qualifies my statement that such an arrogant man cannot be a running mate.
Because you've been around for quite a while.
If you don't know Kazeem Afegbua, at least for 20 years. He's a friend to my boss, IBB.
IBB, you were a spokesman for IBB.
I have been his spokesman till date.
Yes.
For 20 good years, I have been speaking. I have met Babachi Lawa in office as SGF. I went to Adams Oshomole. So my face is not an unknown face, whether in the public domain or in political circles. But of course, it's a convenient way to undermine anyone.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to join issues with the person. But he knows he cannot controvert what I have said. If I don't know him, I won't know that he's an arrogant person. You get the point?
I get you.
So the point is, don't even look at the messenger. Look at the message I have put forward. I'm the messenger, an unknown quantity. They said so in PDP when I started a fight with, what's his name, Uche Secondus. They said so, one inconsequential Kazeem Afegbua. I like to be underrated. But at the end of the day, the point I'm making, I will drive home that point using all the arsenal at my disposal. It is now left for you to controvert my position and take your own stand, but to begin to say, without interrogating my position, to say that I'm inconsequential, it's not an issue to me. And it doesn't matter. My name is simply Kazeem Afegbua. I may not be inconsequential, but I have a voice. And I have platforms to put across my views.
What can we do, or are we going to have to live with it? I'm talking about the false news, the avalanche. You remember back in the day, I think last year, before then, it even led to, Twitter going down for a while and then coming back. They tried to put some sort of sanity into the way social media was being used to foment lies. Is this a situation that we're just going to have to live with it because people are simply not going to comply? And with the anonymity of our social media in a lot of cases, not everybody is anonymous on social media, they get away with blue murder.
You see, I have been a victim as spokesman to IBB. This year alone, they've carried news 7 occasions of the death of IBB.
Okay, yeah.
When the man is hale and hearty and is bubbling, receiving people every day. The last one, before I woke up 7 a.m., I already gotten 16 telephone calls by friends who were concerned, wanting to confirm, because you see them putting a corpse and putting the man's picture so painfully. And I'll put a call across to him and say, sir, they are only asking for your long life, your longevity. You're going to be 82 next year. You are going to live more years for us. Because you are a reservoir of knowledge of the peculiarities of Nigeria, of the issues, the dominant issues. He's one person who understands the intricate logic of the Nigerian tripod arrangement. He's one Nigerian you cannot cocoon into a particular geopolitical zone. He has friends across the country, north, south, east, and west. So I have been a victim. The last response I made to that fake news was that if I have my way, the regulations they are running away from, I will decree that regulation into existence. Because in every vocation, no matter how you want it, there has to be serious regulations that will guard the operation of those who are practitioners. Because we are a human society which is supposed to be organized, which is supposed to be dictated to by the regulations that moderate the system. The moment you give freedom in this, unusual manner, the tendency is for you to see all of these bestialities, inanities, without sanctions. And when there are no sanctions, it becomes a free-for-all. So, if you want to run a proper system, there has to be regulations. And those regulations will have to be put into the public domain for them to be, some of these.
So there must be a strategy.
Some of these are media platforms. They have different organizations. You have the Guild of Editors. You have the Editors Forum. You have social media platforms. You have online publishers and all of that. So you have to rally them round. Let them interrogate the issues. Let them also have a buy-in into why there is the need for regulations. The regulations are not to strangulate you. Mm-hmm. It's for you to be able to trace an anonymous storyteller who is telling a deliberate falsehood and lies just to cause a disaffection. And let me tell you, the implication of some of these fake news is so grievous, because you just wake up one morning, you see a story that can even plunge the country, as delicate as it is, into an avoidable crisis. And before you say Jack Robinson, you will have, say, a concatenation of other events that is a product of that fake news. And before they realize it, certain damages have been done. So I think we need to interrogate this process and see how we can talk to ourselves as practitioners.
Because what you just said is what Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, was saying at the time. He was the arrowhead of, speaking for the government. He spoke. So he came under a whole barrage of, hate, abuse, and that kind of thing.
Because the government did not buy in the operators of this several segment of the media. You need to buy, they have organizations, they have associations. You need to take them along. You need to have meetings with them. You need to tell them, set out, as a government, you have access, unfettered access to a lot of information. You situate them. By the time you give 10 different scenarios and you talk about the implications for the wellness and well-being of the country, those operators will understand when you are trying to take a decision. But because there is a general outcry against the government at some point, nobody wanted to listen to Lai Mohammed. But I think as a human society, we need to have regulations that will checkmate some of these excesses.
Indeed. And what about the average consumer of social media and their disposition to, anything in print, anything that they saw on the internet? They actually take it as gospel. Whether we like it or not, there are those segments of our society that unthinkingly forward a thing just because it sounds titillating.
Well, I really don't envy Asiwaju Bola Tinubu in this respect, because every day you wake up, you see all manners of things.
He's the news right now.
I remember last week when I was seeing a particular video credited to Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, saying that he was saying that they won't vote for Tinubu and all of that. From inquiry, the man said that thing was completely doctored. And he had to even do a press conference to state that they are solidly behind Asiwaju Tinubu and they are not going to betray him or disappoint him.
Exactly.
You see, that's one. Secondly, every day they tell you, oh, he made this gaffe, he made this gaffe, he made that gaffe. For me, just like the situation I have stated with respect to sitting him side by side a Joe Biden and now reporting that he has been to America when the man is in Nigeria or even Lagos attending to people, is just to convey the wrong impressions, anti-negativity around his name.
And people on,
Yes,
sort of flow with it.
Yes, unwittingly, they will do that because they just, these snippets of him. But the saner minds will also interrogate further.
Yeah.
No, we saw this man yesterday. He couldn't have been in America discussing with Joe Biden unannounced.
Well, you'll be lucky. I mean, it's good that because you're looking at it logically, and that's what one expected for a while, that people would not believe this. People would at least look at what the mainstream press is saying about it.
It's like, I'll give you another scenario. They said he wants to relocate the seat of government to Lagos. If he wins, if he becomes president. You see, for the uneducated mind, they will think that is just possible. Under a military government, and for those who still share the vestiges of militarism and military administration, those kind of fiats and decree can hold sway. But in a democracy, it has to go through a robust process of interaction, conversation, constructive engagement, and collective bargaining before you can even think about relocating the headquarters of any country. It's already been domiciled in Abuja. It's been decreed into existence. There are laws that are existing that this is it. The constitution of the country has not changed. It recognizes Abuja as the seat of government. But quite a number of persons will not be able to understand these dynamics. That even before you change a provision, even one word from the Nigerian Constitution, it has to go to the first reading, second reading, public hearing. You go around and you must have a buy-in of 24 states of the Federation into it before you can change one word.
And so those kind of news items should be taken with a handful of salt, never mind a pinch.
Yes.
But it is what it is.
Yes, you know, because they have ulterior motives. They want to try to distract the mass campaign.
Yeah.
They know that it's coasting home to victory, and they want to see how they can put roadblocks. But those roadblocks are also helping him to gain more popularity.
Indeed, as you
because
said.
they say if you are inconsequential, nobody will talk about you. I give you a typical example. My dad used to tell me that when I used to complain that certain things, he said, no, compare yourself with a mango tree that has a lot of fruits on it and the one that is barren. The one that has a lot of fruits will have a lot of youths, young and old, throwing stones at it because they want to pluck to eat. They just want to, just for the fun of saying they have gone on an adventure, they want to do it. But the one that is barren is going to be left there.
It'll be left
so
alone.
Tinubu, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is an archetypal structure of the mango tree with a lot of fruits.
And everybody's
So he
going to
has
be
a
throwing-
lot. He has a lot to offer.
Everybody's going to be throwing sticks and
Yeah,
stones
they are
at
going
it.
to be throwing sticks at him and all of that.
But then
that tree remains a productive tree.
Indeed.
Yes,
Maybe
and preparing so well to govern the country.
Okay, I've been told I have to go on break, but maybe to just, before we do go on break, the other thing that our people, consumers of social media, a lot of knowledgeable people, a lot of educated people are, real fans of social media, but I would wager that there's a much broader, less informed, less educated segment that also uses social media. And in relation to what you just explained, this set probably can't understand the concept of deep fakes. And deep fakes being what they are, they can make, if they're ready to spend the money, they can make anybody say anything. And we have gotten examples of this. So people might just we might just throw that in that, well, we'll be managing as best as we can. You said government itself has the work that it needs to do. It needs to find a way to bring all these groups
But
together.
again, you have to, from this point of view, you also have to look at what Tinubu said in his manifesto about creating a media city. When you want to build a media city, it means that there will be rules and regulations that to guide the operations of a media city and the entertainment industry, because these are huge income spinners. And for a man to be thinking in that direction means that he understands the dynamics that should drive and propel our economic well-being. So I'm waiting to see a Tinubu presidency with the beauty and attraction captured in his manifesto and the kind of boldness and courage he's got, to pursue his aspirations, no matter even if he's the only man.
Ignoring all distractions.
Yes, without distractions. Because you see, leaders, good leaders all over the world are the ones who know where they are taking their people, and not the one that people will drive to certain conclusions.
Okay.
And public opinion Because you can't gauge it, you can't run a government with public opinion.
Welcome back. So this morning today on TVC, Kazeem Afegbua is our guest. He's a former commissioner for information in Edo State. Formerly of the PDP, he resigned, as he told us, at the top of this program, but even before then, on an earlier program, he has clarified that. So he's not a member of the PDP, but he's not a member of APC either. But he's a staunch, if you've been with us from the beginning of the program, he's a staunch supporter of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu candidature. Maybe at this stage I could ask that, look, since you're a free agent, quote unquote, now, not being in the PDP anymore, declining to join the APC, but now there's Atiku, there's Obi, and there's Tinubu. Why did you go for Tinubu? You could have gone for anyone. I imagine you have a relationship with Atiku Abubakar as well, having been a former partner of yours.
The point is, in 2019, I was one of the spokespersons for the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. We tried to market Atiku Abubakar to the Nigerian public as a better alternative. We expected him to show all the gravitas, all the capacity that can railroad the country on the part of electing him as president. But midstream, before we concluded the entire process of election with respect to Tribunal, Court of Appeal, and Supreme Court, the man escaped to Dubai. So 2 years on, he came back and said he wanted to do. I said, no, it's not done that way. A general that abandons his troops in the battle or in the field of war would not enjoy the spoil of that war. When you have just suddenly left them to fend for themselves, we needed someone to cry on. We needed someone's shoulder to cry on. We needed a father figure kind of person. While we were on the stream, because I know quite a number of times that I was chased when I attend television programs in the night. Unknown person will just start chasing me, vehicles and all of that. I know a couple of times I had to drive to public places just to be able to escape all of that, to be safe. And so we didn't see the candidate that represented the aspiration of PDP in 2019 at some point. So we did all of this, not even a single telephone call to say thank you for all your effort. Leaders must learn how to be responsible to those they want to lead. I want to see certain characteristics in you, So this time round, I told myself, I said, no, since in 2019, the entire southern aspirants dropped their aspiration to support the northern aspirants, which gave birth to an Atiku candidature. This time, they should show reciprocity by ensuring that they support the southern aspirants. And judging by the Asaba declaration by the 17 southern governors when they said that, presidency should come to the south after a Buhari 8 years, my expectation was that a man like Atiku will come out like a father figure to guide the process. If you want someone from the southeast, you could as well guide the process. But the moment you throw yourself into the ring, it becomes a problem. And at the end of the day, look at what it has led to. And you see the cacophony of voices against aspiration by even 5 governors of the PDP. So that's no joke. That's one aspect. The second aspect is that within the PDP structure, there is a provision for zoning in the Constitution. So I expected that he, in previous elections in 2011 and 2015, left the PDP to join the APC.
Okay.
And was one of those who contested the primaries in Lagos in 2014 and came third after Buhari first, Kwankwaso second. He came third. So he donated money, he donated men. Garuba Shehu was his spokesman. He donated him to the government.
Donated him.
And today, he's still a spokesman to the president. So, having left PDP to help APC to defeat PDP, I see a contradiction of leadership in terms of orientation and responsibility. For you to now leave APC, to come back to PDP, he had made statements in the past that, PDP has destroyed Nigeria. PDP is beyond redemption and all of that. What gives him impression that Nigerians have not remembered those, are not remembering those, positions that he took against the PDP.
Thank you, Kazeem. That sort of explains why the question was that you had 3 to choose from. You just explained why Atiku is not it. How about Obi?
Yes.
Because you could have gone for Obi.
Yeah, Peter Obi was the running mate to Atiku in 2019. Mm-hmm. I expected Peter Obi to remain within the PDP to fight for his right as a candidate and prevail on Atiku to support him, since Atiku said he wanted the Southeast presidency. But when certain decisions are taken, or you make certain pronouncements that are not rooted in honesty and transparency and sincerity of purpose, then it becomes a problem. Obi left unceremoniously with the PDP and joined the Labour Party. You know, there were other political parties that chose the Labour Party for whatever reasons. By the time I was leaving PDP, I placed several calls to Peter Obi to even sit down with him and interrogate him and see, you know, the shape and dimension of his political campaigns. Peter Obi does not pick calls. That's just the truth. My second option was Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. I placed a call across to him. In 2 rings, the man picked my call. And I said, can I have an opportunity of having an audience with you? And he said, it's okay, come. If you can come around 4 p.m., I'll be available. And I went 4 p.m. and I saw him, myself and someone else, with 3 of us. And I interrogated him, even interrogated his health. He said, you are not well, why are you contesting the election? And he gave me a profile of his health status. He's not diabetic, he doesn't know BP. He has a knee issue that period. He said he's going to do a kneecap replacement. And within 4 months of doing a kneecap replacement, the man was walking without walking stick.
Indeed.
So, and the man seemed to understand, you know, the issues in the country. It's a rallying point. He has an activist mind. He was a front runner in terms of return to democracy in this country. You can't take that one away from him. And for me, I was excited by the fact that he has his hands on so many issues. And using Lagos State, where he governed before for 8 years, as a reference point, he was able to speak to quite a number of issues: security, economy, youth unemployment, and what have you. Whether you like it or not, Lagos of today, taking off from 1999, is different from Lagos of before. There's functionality in terms of governance here. Whether you like it or not, they may not have provided all the answers, but for God's sake, you have to give Tinubu the credit of setting a rolling plan that has taken Lagos to this level with a careful choice of successors, even after him. Even when federal government weighed his powers on him, he was still standing tall. He remained unbowed. The entire southwestern states, capitulated to PDP at some point. Only Lagos was standing tall. And so for such a man, he is in a better position, pole position, to drive elite consensus, which is lacking in this country. Because you need an elite consensus to be able to buy into a lot of programs that you have. A Tinubu presidency can sit down and call a meeting that will be far-reaching amongst all the dominant stakeholders in this country. For the first time, we are seeing a presidential candidate who visited Baramatu Kingdom.
Yes.
That is the headquarters of the Ijaw nation.
Yes.
No presidential candidate since 1999 has visited Baramatu. Going through the waterways and all of that, and going to that place to pay homage to them. He was given a chieftaincy title and speaking to the issue. That means his campaign has been strategic. He went to Mina to speak to crop growers and farmers. He went to Lafia to speak to miners. He was in Kano to speak to businessmen and all that. He was in Owerri to speak to businessmen of the Southeast extraction. It was reported that they donated 1 billion naira to his campaign. He was in Lagos to speak to the organized private sectors, the creme de la creme of the captains of industry. And he was able to provide tested responses to questions that were being asked. And in a way, also show that he's a team player by allowing his vice and someone to speak to some of those issues. He knows how to rally men and women together. In his manifesto, he has promised 35% to women. Even when you look at his campaign, how it is being segmented, you see the women are championing one segment of it. You see the youth are championing others. Tinubu is in Lagos today. Some other people are in Oyo State. Some other people are in Kano doing all of this. To me,
yes,
a man who can rally around, who has a strong voice, is the kind of person that I want to see as a president of this country, to be able to, provide responses and answers to challenges in a situation of dialogue and not monologue.
I want to segment out the youths. You spoke about women and youths, and especially because the youths in this country are being asked to come into it, come and own this. It's your right. I don't know where the youths are going by the graphics you see on social media, but what would the youths benefit from a Tinubu presidency? We've spoken about some of the things that interest youth. There are also youths that are interested in academia, in professionalism, but entertainment is also a key. What do you think the youths can look forward to in a Tinubu presidency?
When a man says he's going to build a media city, an entertainment city, there's so much to gain. In fact, I think Nigeria, with our population and the kind of skills and talents that our youths possess, if you explore the opportunities in the entertainment sector alone, it will be a major income spinner. And that is strengthening our copyright laws, different from what it is now.
Yes.
And taking away all the, proliferation of copyright owners and what have you, and denying the average youth the opportunity to gain, income from their talents. You need to do that, and he has promised that. You see, aside from that, he has also said that he's going to give opportunity to the youth to belong to his cabinet, the cabinet position, because they need to know how government decisions are being arrived at, how discussions, go on in the inner chambers of the presidential villa, so that they will be able to take that to the youth population, very huge one, talented youth and all of that, in order for you to tap into their energy, tap into their talents, tap into their knowledge, and be able to create something out of it. Globally, fintech is becoming an attraction. People are now into all manners of coding, they are making money, they are doing that and all that. So once you have a government that understands, why do you think people are gravitating towards Tinubu? He was the 8 years governor of Lagos. After 2007, he has not taken any appointment from 2007 till now. But he's still very relevant because he shares in the aspirations of the youth. When you listen to people who are giving their testimonials about what he has done for them, individually and collectively, then you will appreciate the kind of mind he has. And I see his son reaching out to a lot of people. Seyi Tinubu reaching out to a lot of people, understanding that his generation must be part and parcel of the process without staying aloof. It's a different thing. If they are throwing stones, Seyi Tinubu will also pick stones. You get the point? Instead of staying in his cocoon and waiting that the stone should land in someone else's son's head.
He's out there.
Yes, he's out there. So that kind of mindset is what I admire. You see, a government may not be able to provide all the answers to our nagging problems, but a government that understands those problems and is able to think outside the box, to generate ideas that can help people to pursue their legitimate aspirations without let or hindrance, is a government that I will support any day. I'm not going to be detained by mass hysteria of thinking that, there's a social media group out there, we want to pursue them, they want to do this, they want to do that. No. I want a situation where a government will, in partnership with governors and local government chairmen, provide answers to rural problems. There are a lot of rural problems. Take the attention away from the urban centers, the cities and all of that, and let us create road network in rural areas where farmers can get their produce to the market where the demand for it are higher, So for me, I'm seeing a productive Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency that understands that the country is his constituency, that will not be detained by pecuniary interest, that has seen it all and seen this as his last political excursion, to be able to give to Nigerians what he thinks he has upstairs. And if you do study his manifesto, I've seen quite a number of programs, policy information, which I know he has the political will, boldness, and courage to put into practice for the well-being of the entire country.
You know, and even not exclusively concerning the youth alone here, Tinubu has always emphasized, take his colloquiums over the decades, he's always emphasized manpower development as key, as a key. If someone like him could have a pet subject, I guess that would be it. His desire to really enhance the process of manpower development. Now, as you've just been saying, he's a man of competency. He's bold. Could you speak on that area? Because we have a problem in that area. Employment is a problem. No doubt he's going to try and take a stab at all of that.
One of the things he has promised to do is embarking on completion of abandoned projects.
Yes. Okay.
In this country, someone did a study for him, who identified the fact that there are over 10,000 abandoned projects in this country, starting from the 70s to the 80s, 90s, and to date. Over 10,800 and something thereabout. If you have a government that can just do 50% of those abandoned projects, there will be job created for the average youth. I give you a typical example. Ajakuta Steel Company. Presently, they need about $1.8 billion to complete it. But in the last 30, 40 years, people are being employed, taking salaries home for doing nothing. So you can imagine if through his network of influence across the world, he's able to bring in people to complete Ajakuta, or even relocate a new one, brand new one, which will take you about 1.2 billion naira to build a brand new steel rolling plant. What about the other ones that were sold for a pottery song in previous government of midwife under Atiku Abubakar? What about those ones? So there is so much to do. Having the political will to do them is very key. And I know that Tinubu has that cutting edge orientation to be able to take decisions that may be unfriendly on the surface, but that will be therapeutic, to heal the wounds of mismanagement and bad governance in time past.
Okay, let me take this call. Ben is calling in from the UK. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the security challenge in Nigeria. If Kazeem can shed more light on that.
Okay, the security challenge in the country.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Well, thank you very much. Let me also tell you that security is the responsibility of every citizen. If you get information and you are unable to report to the appropriate quarters, you are also a part of the problem of insecurity. But in Tinubu's presidency, he has captured in his manifesto that first, there has to be a workable synergy amongst all the agencies, all the security agencies. He has said that the NSDC, National Security and Civil Defense Corps, would be primarily responsible for VIP protections and all of that, some other responsibilities, instead of allowing police to be following VIPs. Allow police to police the country and take some members of the NSDC if you need to do VIP operations at a cost that will be generating income for the country, not for free. There has to be a pool. Don't forget that Tinubu was the one who started TSA in Lagos. He started it in Lagos.
The Treasury single account.
Treasury single account and all of that. So raising money and to be able to meet up with so many things. He has also said that they need to win hearts and win minds of people. How do you mean? There are quite a number of victims of insecurity within the force. Oftentimes they are neglected. You need to create a pool of intervention that will help their families, because this person died in the course of national duties. So once you are able to have a platform where you can take care of their families, and those who are alive are seeing that you are doing that, and they are not being neglected, then the commitment to carry out your responsibility as a law enforcement officer will be higher. There are also anti-terrorist group that he says they will have to be retrained. They also have to even employ more hands, that will be able to cater for the the everyday challenges, kidnappers, armed banditries, and what have you. All we need is for you to show, yes.
When people try to malign the, reputation of his running mate, that he's quite close to, some terrorist groups and that kind of a thing, this whole...
Yori, it is still part and parcel of the politics of distraction. I have listened to Kashim Shettima at close range. I have listened to him on TV. I have listened to his understanding of the issues of governance, of economy, having been a banker before he became a governor for 8 years, before he became a senator, a lawmaker. You cannot buy those experiences, with a pinch of salt.
So one has to put it where it is.
So for me, a Shettima is a perfect fit for Tinubu presidency.
Let me bring in Mazi Okorafor, who's been waiting for a while. Thank you for waiting, Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, Sir.
Good morning.
You see, the essence of digital era, in terms of these people using their Android for any type of phone to send news that are not relevant, is very, very key. That I was expecting Nigerians presently now that instead of to use your phone and send all these fake news, fake stories that has no meaning, what you could have used to at least to ginger Nigerians to prepare for 2023 and vote for Jagaban, for anybody who wants to vote as senator in their respective area and governor. Not for them to use their phone and be doing all things. You see, the message they send across creates more problem for themselves as they send that. Because there are some stories we sending out from their own number. As they say, people will look at you as somebody who have they will just simply ignore. That is why you see sometimes when people send some messages, people will reply it back with abusive way, which means what they have been sending is rubbish. So I will advise that fake news is not the best option. Fake whether news or anything is not ideal for this present Nigeria as our country.
All right, Mazi, I beg your pardon. I've got to interrupt. Forgive me for interrupting, Mazi, but we've completely run out of time. But thank you very much for calling in. And, we've covered some of it. If you had a 2-hour program, we could still be going strong. But I want to thank you very much, Kazeem, for coming in. Kazeem Afegbua, former Commissioner for Information in Edo State. He resigned from the PDP, and he's not a member of APC, but he's a staunch supporter of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Presidency.
The presidency,
yes.
And his presidential quest. Yes. So thank you very much once again for
coming. It's a pleasure always.
Indeed. And so that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.